Hey, and welcome to a Monday. I'm glad you're with us here. We're going to get to some pictures in just a moment. And before we get started on anything, don't forget to sign up to Car Cost Canada. Use the promo code MOTORMOUTH. Become an expert member. Any advantage you can get in this ultra tight car market is certainly worth it. And I get quite a lot of feedback from people who have used Car Cost Canada, used the promo code MOTORMOUTH, saved money. That's what it's all about. Get a new car and save some money. So get a chance to do that when you get a moment. All right, we have to get into some pictures. First up, we have this one. This is, who sent this in? Yeah, Dunland sent this in. This is a Tesla with a V8 under the hood. It's my kind of dad joke. But a Tesla with a V8 under the hood. Of course, the V8 drink. Next up this is from Dave Reimer. Dave has been corresponding and talking with me about getting a Porsche. I talked him off the edge a little while ago. He was going to buy something else as a filler car. And I said, just wait. The right car will show up. And there it is. He got it. It's a 2015 Cayman. Beautiful blue color, under 30,000 kilometers. Absolutely as new condition. So the person that bought it absolutely loved it. And now he's got a great car. Next up, this is from Scott Newell in Charlotte, North Carolina. A gorgeous blue Mustang GT 5-liter manual transmission. He has the performance pack. Unfortunately, missed out on the magnetic ride control, but he's absolutely loving that car. It is a beautiful car, a great one. Now, this one comes from John. This is in Greece via Quebec. Now, if you're Greek, you can read that and you know, from what I understand, he said it means cheers. He sent a picture of his BMW 340i that he sent from Montreal over to Greece. I wonder if he's just driving it for the summer and then going to ship it back. I'm not sure. That would be a great vehicle to have driving around Greece, and hopefully no forest fires where you are. And then the last one comes from Ali, who sent a picture in last week of his sister's new Outlander, but he wanted to send along the picture of his new whip, which is a 2021 BMW X5, and it's blue, and on the inside, it's ivory seats and blue seats, contrasting, very sharp. So if you want to get a picture in, send it along to Zack at motormouth.ca. That's ZACK at motormouth.ca, or for Americans, ZACK at motormouth.ca, and get your pictures in. Okay, lots of questions here. If you just have to get a question in, you can always do a super chat. Somebody asked how you do that. At the chat box at the bottom, you'll see a little $ next to it. You type in next to that, and you can pay an amount, and then it jumps to my attention, and I get the super chats in. All right, first one comes in. Speaking of Porsches, how would you spec a base 718 Cayman? Is Sport Chrono and PSM important? Would you get a PDK over manual transmission? Well, the whole manual automatic thing, you've got to decide what you feel comfortable with, and if you're sharing it with somebody in your family. So for me, if it was just me driving the car, it would be a manual. If you're sharing it with somebody that doesn't love driving manual as much, then the PDK is going to be the way you want to go. It really is how comfortable and good you are at driving manual. If you're proficient at driving manual, or if you're good at it, it would be a no-brainer. That's the one I'd get. Sport Chrono package is definitely worthwhile. It opens up, you get the Sport Plus settings, and I think PASM is part of that off the top of my head. But those are nice things to have. One thing you should always consider if you're getting a Porsche is the dynamic lighting package. Okay, it gives you a much better headlamp package, great at nighttime. It's definitely worth the money. The dynamic lighting package is certainly worth it, and Sport Chrono if you can swing that one as well. What's your favorite diesel pickup truck? Well, there's so many. If you're talking about heavy duty and just 1500, I do like the Ram pickup truck. However, the one that I like, the one that I would buy that is no longer sold or just been discontinued, is the Ford with the 3-liter. That being said, the Duramax inline 6-cylinder is fantastic as well. There's some good choices out there, but Ford has dropped the 3-liter V6. That's the same engine that's used in the Range Rovers and the Land Rovers. That's the quietest and the smoothest diesel I have ever driven, is that Ford 3-liter. So if you have one or a chance to get one, Get it before it's gone. After that, I would probably go for the inline six from General Motors just for dependability, and then Ram. So there you go. Zack, no more driving television. Yeah, it's been a year and a half since I've been on driving television. I think Hyundai, not Genesis or Kia, need to change their styling direction. Thoughts? So I think you're talking about all the sharp edges you have on cars like the Elantra or the Elantra. I think it looks pretty good on Tucson. I don't like the front of the Sonata. It's got that frumpy looking catfish mouth with the sad eyes. Every time I see one, it just looks sad. The headlamp package, don't love that one. I think that Kia overall does a better job with their cars, but that's what makes the world go round. There's something for everybody. I see a lot of those Elantras on the road, so I guess people are buying them. I think it's good value with that car. That's one of the reasons. Stephen Wong, would you rather get a 19 Camry with almost 70,000 kilometers or a new Corolla? I have 2 kids. It really depends on how old your kids are. One thing about the Corolla, it has a really big back seat and a big trunk. It's surprising how much stuff you can get in that car. But how big your kids are. If your kids are still in the car seat era, probably Camry's going to be better. If your kids are sitting in just those little booster seats, or if they're not sitting in those at all, and they're sitting with a regular seat belt, Corolla would be just fine. So you're talking about a car that's got almost 70,000 kilometers on it versus a brand new car. I don't know. The Corolla is actually really large. So try it out. Don't know where you are with your kids if you're putting strollers in, but the Corolla trunk is huge too. It's a very big car. Okay, another thing you guys can do for me is hit the thumbs up if you can. That certainly helps the channel. What is your thoughts on the Fiat 124 Abarth, or Abarth, or Abath? I've heard so many different ways to say it. I think they're wonderful handling cars. The engine is fantastic. You get more power than the Miata. Not from what I've heard anecdotally, the reliability isn't the same as the Mazda products. So the great thing about it is you're getting an MX-5 Miata, but you're getting a much more powerful car, arguably better looking. It looks good, I think. I think they did a good job with the 120. Even though they took someone else's car and made it into a Fiat, I think they did a pretty good job. Now the issue is serviceability. Are you near a Fiat dealer? Are Fiat dealers going to be around forever? I don't know. But try the Miata and see if you can live with the less powerful engine. That's the only reason I would get the Fiat, is because it's got more power. How is it possible that the Avalon is going to be discontinued, but the Nissan Maxima is to live on? I heard Avalon's going to be discontinued. So I'm not sure that's entirely true, but I've been wrong before. Either way, these cars, they can't give them away. They just can't give them away. I heard Avalon's going away. Large front-wheel drive cars, that's just screams the 90s. When the Maxima and all these big front-wheel drive cars, and now you can't. I mean, it's the one area of the car market where you're probably going to get a deal on one right now. Sam Davis, what color of Bronco did you prefer? So many options, just like the models. We were talking to the product planner from Ford Motor Company in Canada here, and they heard that people wanted vibrant colors for Bronco. They said, if you're going to make this Bronco, make it with vibrant colors. Well, they did, but what did people gravitate towards? They gravitated towards the gray and the black and, the basic colors. So there's 2 gray colors. What the Area 57 and then the other one, I can't remember what it's called. Andrea would know. But those 2 gray ones, one's got more blue in it, one's more pure gray. Those are quite popular. If it was me, I would get the one that they call orange, but to me it kind of looks yellow. So the yellowy orange one with the black, I thought that looked really good. And then there's a sort of a vibrant red one as well. So in person, I thought the yellowy orange one was the one that I liked. Andrea liked the gray one. I'm looking at a sports car and debating between a BMW M3 and a Porsche Cayman S. Which would you pick? I would pick the Porsche, just for the fact that it is just a wonderful machine and an incredible resale value. I'm not saying that an M3 isn't going to deliver that for you. And also, in my opinion, I think Porsche makes better made cars. I just do. I think their cars are better put together. Picked up a Panamera GTS this morning and I drove it home and I'm like, wow, this thing is fantastic. It's just so well made. The interior, the way it's put together, the way it drives, it just is such a nice car. And boy, do they know how to put together a really good product. So just based on reliability, build quality, I would probably go with the Porsche. But the M3, I mean, has a lot of power. It's a great car. There's nothing wrong with it in any way. It just says it's a gut check. Do you want a 4-door car or a 2-door car? Do you want a sportier car or more of a sedan? So these are all things you have to determine. The Cayman, in the long run, in my opinion, will hold its value better. So for me, it's always about dollars in, dollars out. What are you going to get for it when you want to sell it or trade it in? And I think a Cayman is always going to be worth more. Thoughts on the BMW Supra? Should we just be happy Toyota brought back the Supra and buy it while we can? Rumor has it that the Z4 may be discontinued and the Supra will follow suit. Was it a failure? Yeah, I just think that it's the market is moving away from anything to do with cars and everything to do with SUVs, which is really sad. I got no problem with the Supra and the fact that it was shared with BMW. I think they could have done a better job making it a Toyota, because as soon as you sit behind the steering wheel, it's a BMW on the inside. Who's kidding who? That's exactly what you're buying. But that being said, BMW makes fantastic inline 6-cylinder engines. The handling is there. The looks are there. It's a great car. Is it a Toyota? No. But, you know, there could be a reason to get excited that maybe Toyota might do something, because if you follow the trend, Mazda has announced they're going to be doing an inline 6-cylinder. Toyota, part owner of Mazda, they're doing platform sharing between vehicles. So could an inline 6-cylinder co-developed between Toyota and Mazda, make it into a future true Supra? Let's hope so. What do you think of Acura resurrecting the Integra moniker? Will it be a sedan only, or will it be available as well? It's interesting because I saw on Facebook an Acura ad popped up. You know, the ads when you're scrolling through Facebook. And the first image of the ad is an old Integra. And I thought, this was like 2 weeks ago. I thought to myself, well, that's interesting. They're using an Integra in a current, and it was, I can't remember what car it was, but it was for a current not NSX. It was for a current Acura product. And I thought, that's strange. Well, sure enough, last week they dropped the bomb that, yeah, they're bringing Integra back. My prediction is Integra is going to be the ILX replacement, the Civic-based car. And I think that's exactly what it's going to be. Will it be a 2-door? I doubt it. I think it's going to be the ILX. They're going to rename it Integra. Now here, think about this as a company. How much they screwed this up. Acura in the 90s had a legend. Like, people use that term nowadays. Oh, so-and-so, they're a legend, a legendary. So-and-so came through, and what a legend. Acura had a legend. What a car, what a name, what an identity. They had the Integra, the car that the tuner crowd, the young people that were starting out and wanted to have a fun car, that's what you wanted to own. You wanted an Integra, you wanted a Type R, you wanted a GSR, you wanted those cars. And then what did they do? They got rid of all the names. It was the stupidest thing ever. They got rid of Legend, they got rid of Integra, and they went to this alphanumeric, or just wasn't numeric at all, went like to the RL and so on, and they blew it up. They blew it, to be honest with you. Infiniti did the same thing. They had the G70. The G was their only car that really had any kind of notoriety, and they got rid of it. They got rid of the G. I couldn't believe it. Anyway, I think that it's going to be the new ILX. That's what I think it's going to be. Josh again, just to clear up last week's topic of the Model Y I may order. Well, last week, Josh, you were ordering it. Now it's may order. In Quebec, over 60,000, there's no incentive. I'm paying full price, unfortunately. Model Y starts at 70,000 bucks. Well, Josh, you're in the real estate game. Money's no problem. Just sell another house, get another deal. That's the great thing about being in business for yourself. If you work harder, you can pay for whatever you want. I would, you know what, it's funny because just before I came on the air here, I read an article on Automotive News, and this is crazy. So the best-selling electric vehicle in the U.S., this is for registrations in the second quarter of 2021, Model Y. The best-selling registration for number 2 was the Model 3. And then there's everybody else. And if you add everybody together, they don't even add up to just one of those models. So, you know what? I'm not going to... Okay, I'll get on my high horse a little bit here. I am not a fan of paying people to buy a car. I think it's the most ridiculous thing that governments do. A former colleague that Andrea and I used to work with in radio years ago contacted Andrea, and his cousin or somebody in his family is getting the Kona EV here in British Columbia, and there's this incentive, so you get $8,000, and there's this extra one. If you scrap a car, you can get up to $13,000 off. So that's getting an old polluting car off the road, and then they put that money towards, so $13,000 off a Kona EV. Is that getting an extra car off the road? No. There's still traffic. All of that money, in my opinion, should be going into public transportation. We should be building world-class transportation corridors across the world. Imagine if you could, like you can in Tokyo, leave your home, get on a high-speed train, blast somewhere. I mean, if you've ever been to Japan or even China, their high-speed rail system is unbelievable. They do it through the mountains. They do it through snow. I mean, Japan can be a snowy place, especially in the northern part of Japan. So, and then the Tokyo subway system will, like your mind will explode by how elaborate their subway system is. So that's what we should be putting our money into, not giving somebody $13,000 so they can buy a car, so one person can sit in it and drive to work. Oh, by the way, you don't need 2 people for the HOV. You just need to have bought an electric car. That just doesn't make any sense to me. Here's Josh. But worth it for my business. Well, Josh, you're going to be a successful real estate guy with your Model Y. People are going to gravitate towards you because you're successful. There you go. I heard that apparently the only regions where sedans are still popular and outsell the crossovers is South Korea, China, and Taiwan. It could be a cultural thing. I know in China, for example, long wheelbase versions of car are much more popular because people get driven. It's a status thing. If you're an executive, you get driven to work. You have somebody drive you in a long wheelbase sedan, and there's nothing more opulent than a sedan, and that's probably a cultural thing. And it's interesting when you're in China and you see, like, you'll see an Audi A4 long wheelbase, and you're like, well, that's odd, and it only exists in China for that exact reason. Hey, Zack, just saw the review of the Jeep Wagoneer. When do you think you'll get your hands on one? Can't wait for your review. Well, first of all, a bit of a rant here. They had an event for the Wagoneer. Zack and Andrea not invited. Maybe it's a flight thing. It was only for those people in the center of the universe got invited to that. I did email, and it is coming in September. So Bronco dropped this morning because of the embargo. That one went out. The G-Wagon went out on Saturday. So 2 body-on-frame SUVs. They have a similar kind of vibe. They're meant to go off-road. They have locking differentials, body-on-frame. This one is just unbelievably capable and fast and powerful and very expensive. And this one is very capable, but, a lot less expensive, and it shows on the inside. Quite plastic, fantastic. So those are the 2 latest videos. If you haven't watched them yet, what's the holdup? By the way, we're flipping things around this week because of the embargo. This went out this morning. On Wednesday, it's going to be the comparison. It will be the Bronco and the Wrangler compared. And then on Saturday, what do we have on Saturday? Oh, we're going to do an Acura RDX. That car hasn't been covered in a long time, so that'll be fun. Oh, Hey, Zach, saw Jack lining up for a limited Nike release the other day. He was one of the lucky few that got a pair. There you go. Hey, a second. Hey, Jack. Jack. I don't know where he is. Yeah, so he got the shoes. So Jack's a sneakerhead. He got these shoes, and it's a whole thing, man, with these running shoes. I just can't get over it. And then the resale market and all that. So yeah, he got it. He got some. Hi, Zach. Your opinion on buying a 2021 car this fall or buying a 2022? Let's assume not many changes between. Love the show. Hey, listen. At this stage of the game, you'd be lucky to get a car. If you go to some of the big lots, they're just empty. Like there are no cars. So beggars can't be choosers. Probably, if you're going to get it later, you might be able to order a 2022. It's probably the best way to go. Because you got to remember, if you're buying a 21, in 4 months from now, the car's going to be 1 year old. So if you can mitigate some of that depreciation, I would order the 2022 if there's not going to be any changes. Okay, just want to make sure I didn't miss any super chats or anything. If you guys want to do a super chat, here's Andrea piping in. Area 51 and Cactus Gray for the Bronco. They're the most popular colors. Hi, everyone. There you go. So yeah, I knew Andrea would. Know the names. I like the yellowy orange one. Okay, gotta figure out where the hell I was. Where was I? 40,000. Best reliable SUV to buy in Ontario. I would go with a Toyota RAV4 hybrid. Starts around $34,000. You can get one nicely equipped for under 40, maybe not including taxes. But if you just want reliable, great on gas, gonna do the job, that's the one you should choose. Any news on the new updated CR-V for the Canadian market from Toronto? It's imminent. There's been lots of spy shots of it. If you go online and you look up spy shots of the new CR-V, they're out there, which means it's going to be shown probably this fall and will probably be coming in the new year. Could be earlier than that. I doubt it, though. So yeah, CR-V is on the way. Any news on the Hyundai Tucson plug-in? They're slowly coming in. There's been some stories of people driving them in the U.S. 50 kilometers of electric range. That's pretty damn good. They did a great job with that Tucson, so it's going to be a lot of fun to drive. Can't wait to get it. There's Scott. Scott sent the picture in of his new Mustang GT. Fabulous car. Stanley Wong, what cars do you have? We have 3 cars just now. We just sold a Toyota Tacoma. We have a Honda Civic, which is 2018. That's a family car. That's the one we bought because our kids are just learning to drive. We have a Porsche Cayenne diesel, and we also have a Porsche Cayenne GTS with a manual transmission, a very rare car. And those are the 3 cars right now. Is there going to be a Bronco pickup? I would bet there will be. But, you look at the Gladiator. I don't think the Gladiator has been selling particularly well because, holy mother, did they charge a lot for it. Good evening, Zach. Great videos you and Andrea put out each day. Have you ever been tempted to purchase any of the cars you feature us on Fridays? Thanks. Yeah, so Scott's referring to sort of the cool old collectible cars. Well, the nice thing about driving them every Friday, Scott, is I kind of get it out of my system. You know what I mean? Like I get to drive it and, I get to smell it. And that's part of it with the old cars. You get in them and they have that classic vintage car smell. There's a few I wish I had the money to buy. But no, I kind of get it out of my system. And here's the great thing, and this is the one thing I say, is all I ever wanted when I was younger was to own a 911. And worked hard. Andrea gave me the green light years ago when I bought an air-cooled 911. Then I sold it, and then I bought another one. So over about 10 years, I had 2 air-cooled 911s. So I kind of got it out of my system. Had I never done that, I would just be single-minded. That's all I'd ever want. But because been there, done that, got the T-shirt, I kind of moved on, and glad I did. Okay, we got a super chat coming in, I believe. There it is. Edward, more coffees for you and the team. Pray you and your family are well. Well, that's very nice of you. Thank you so much. We'll put that in the coffee fund for sure. Here's Jerome, who's been emailing me lately. Good evening, Zach. What's the car trend that gets on your nerves the most? Fake exhausts or vents, piano black, option packages? Thanks. Well, all of those sorts of things are irritants for sure. So we'll get the feedback we get. So people hate, I think Jerome's touched on this one nicely, the fake exhaust tips, or you have no exhaust tips. They just make the lower valance look like there's an exhaust tip there. So that's just lazy design. Piano black everywhere on the inside shows a lot of fingerprints and dust. What else do you have in there? Option packages, yeah. So, car companies taking things that you want and splitting them into different packages. So you want the heated seats, the heated steering wheel, and in the case we talked about it on the weekend or today about the Bronco, how they took the big screen, the heated seats, and the heated steering wheel, and they put it into 3 packages. Mercedes is famous for this. You want the heated steering wheel, but you want the power tailgate. They're in separate packages. So by the time you're done, your bank is empty, and that's how they make their money. Always remember that car companies are in business to make money, to get more of your money for what you want. So those trends, I don't know. I think the trend to having everything on a touchscreen is, some people like it. It's not for me. It's not that people say, oh, well, you're just old. No, it's not as convenient. Perfect example. Picked up the Panamera today. So the head-up display is too low or too high. I couldn't really tell what. It was cut in half, put it that way. Now, the best systems, there's just a little toggle switch to the left of the steering wheel. You push it up, the head-up display tilts up. You push it down, the head-up display goes down. Now, how simple is that? So if you're taller or shorter, there's a little toggle switch. I spent 5 minutes in the controller trying to figure out how the hell to get it to change. Now, that to me is that's just clumsy design. So everything in a screen is a trend I don't love. BMW does a very good job of this, actually. Their iDrive controller is intuitive and easy to use, but they still have a lot of hard keys on the dash for favorites, for radios and the heat and all that kind of stuff. They still have all of the keys there, and then you can go into the screen if you like. I like that combination of the two. There's Peters here. I own a CT5, well equipped, but wanted the V, but nothing available. Should V the next XT4 and XT5? What are your thoughts on the chances of that happening? I think that would make sense that they would do it, but I don't think so. I think you've got to remember where most of the market is, and most of the market is in not high performance SUVs. They're just good all-rounders. Like if you look at a vehicle like the Q5, most people just buy the base model. Even the Macan, most people buy the base 2-liter turbo. Yeah, I think there certainly is an opportunity to give more power in those cars, and they might do that. Actually, we have a Cadillac next week. It's either the XT5 or the XT4. We've got a couple of Cadillacs coming, but yeah, I couldn't exactly tell you which one unless I opened my calendar. But yeah, I'm glad you like the, yeah, actually I should ask you, how do you like the CT5? Do you like it? Because I think it's a great car. I think the interior is really well done. But thanks for all the super chats. Much appreciated. All right, we have 265 on board. If we could get a few more thumbs up, that'd be great. Thank you for being here. Got to go back where I was. Don't want to miss anybody. That happens from time to time, and people get upset. Do they get upset? There. Okay, here we go. Love your channel, big fan. Is there going to be a Ford Bronco? Well, we already did that one. What are your thoughts on the dual clutch transmission Veloster N? Asked one of the local dealers, and they say only 100 made in Canada. Is he lying? Well, put it this way. I was reading an article, I think driving.ca put it out, about the vehicles with the lowest sales volume, and Veloster is in the top 10. Avalon was in there. Maxima, cars like that. But it was interesting that the Veloster is in there. And I couldn't for the life of me understand when they decided to bring an N version in, that they decided to do it for Veloster instead of the i30, which is the European hot hatch that they have as an N version in Europe. And I just, for the life of me, I don't understand it. I just don't think Veloster is going to be around. I just don't see it myself. They got rid of Stinger at the Kia side, which is a shame because it's basically is as nice, if not nicer, than the G70, bigger, and it's less expensive. So I don't think it holds much hope for that car overall, the fact it sells so little. So they brought in 100 dual clutch Veloster Ns. That wouldn't shock me. They probably only sell 200. Is driving television officially done? I believe so. I don't work there anymore, but I believe it is. Corvette or F-Type? Corvette. Evan Katz, how about a special sip of beer in honor of my mom who just passed away 11 days short of her 95th? I would appreciate it. Well, Evan, I don't have a beer with me here today, but let's all raise a glass. That's quite a run. Can you believe that? 95, 11 days short of 95. That, my friend, is a good long run, and you should be glad you had that much time with your mom. It's always tough when these things happen, but I look at that as that's an amazing accomplishment to make it to 95, and hopefully you got the same genes. So hopefully there's going to be a little more sun in your future here, a little more sunshine, I should say. David Brooks, I'm noticing the EV videos on your channel are some of the most watched. Bolt, Mach-E. Think that correspondence with what people are buying? No, I just think that they're new. I think that's really it. There's no, like Andrea and I sit and look at each other and say, what the hell? Like, you know, you get a brand new vehicle and it doesn't do as well as one that's older, that nobody's covered in a while. It's a real mystery as to what is going to click with people. I think the Bolt did well because it's new. I think the Mach-E did well because it's new. Nothing really more than that. And there certainly is interest in those products, but I don't think it's because they're electrified. I just think it's because they're new. That seems to be the way it goes. The newest stuff certainly gets the most views. We're going to do a couple of, we're going to get a couple of Teslas in September, so stay tuned for that. I think I screwed up the camera there. I'm out of focus, which is better for everybody. How well do off-road tires perform versus winter tires? I'm not sure if, are you talking about off-road or in winter? Not sure what you mean by that. All-terrain tires can perform really well in winter. And there are all-terrain tires that have the mountain snowflake symbol for better winter conditions. So they are out there. How would you rank the top all-wheel drive systems in the market, not 4x4 off-road? So yeah, so we take vehicles out like the G-Wagon and the Bronco and the Wrangler and take all that stuff out of there. So there certainly is a case to be made for the Subaru symmetrical all-wheel drive system. And it's the symmetrical part is the equal length shafts and the ability to shift torque around. So what you want to look for with an all-wheel drive system is the ability to shift not only torque from the front axle to the rear axle, but also left and right. Now Subaru does that quite well, especially if you have the X mode for the low-speed traction and stability control. So you want to look for vehicles that have that ability to shift not only front to back, but side to side. Just trying to think, there's so many different versions. Like, for example, Mercedes-Benz on their small cars have a very different all-wheel drive system than they do on their larger cars. So it's a really hard answer to say which ones are the best because, for example, Volkswagen uses a front-wheel bias all-wheel drive system, but still can be quite capable in the winter when that rear differential locks up and you can get power to the back. So it really depends. Typically rear-wheel drive bias all-wheel drive systems like you get, for example, with BMW cars like you get with Genesis cars. It's the same all-wheel drive system. Those are really quite good, but they're rear bias all-wheel drive systems, and then they can shift torque to the front. Porsche's all-wheel drive systems, very good. There's lots of variables in there. But yeah, I would say for mainline cars, Subaru certainly does a good job with theirs. Hey Zach, got a new ride to accompany our Cayenne, a Macan GTS. So Malcolm, by the way, lives in Alberta, has the same car that I have. He's got a Cayenne GTS in the same color, in Nordic gold. His is an automatic, and mine is a manual, but he's now got a Macan GTS. He's also got a 928, from what I remember. So yeah, he likes the GTS. It's a great car. Macan is fantastic, and I'm glad you were able to get one because they're hard to get. Do you see the old Integras as fancy Civics back in the day? No, I no, because they had more power, better overall design, I would say. It depends on which one they were. Certainly there were more high performance versions of Integra compared to the Civic. Do the Civic Turbo still have the oil issues? Well, time will tell. Honda claims that they've been able to mitigate the oil dilution situation where oil is getting past the cylinder. Fuel is getting past the cylinder and dripping into the oil pan and causing issues. This is something that happens with all engines, by the way. It's just something that they're seeing more of in that 1.5. A lot of it comes to heat and the ability to build up heat in the engine quickly. Now Honda says that they've changed the thermostat and the programming of the thermostat in order to build more heat in the engine in cold temperatures to help get around that. We'll have to wait and see if they've solved it, but that's really the fix they've gone for. Another super chat. Hey Zach, greetings from Alberta. How does it feel to have Drea with you on a car launch? Pathfinder should have been a huge difference and change. Well, the thing about Andrea coming with me on the road trip is now I have to share the bathroom with Andrea. The good news is Andrea gets up way earlier than me. So she would get up early and take the bathroom. And then I roll out of bed, have a quick shower, and then go for breakfast. So yeah. That's good. It's nice having some with you, on the road, if you know what I mean. And what else? Yeah, we get along really well. I mean, it's been fun traveling with her. It's interesting because I've done so much traveling, and Andrea's coming now on some trips, and we're going to do more of them when we can. So it's fun. It's different. It certainly is working out pretty well. She's way perkier than me in the morning. The one thing about Andrea, she is perky in the morning. Me, I need my coffee, especially with the time change. If we're getting up at 7 in the morning, which is really 4 o'clock in the morning Vancouver time, yeah, I need a couple of gallons of caffeine to really get warmed up. Andrea, right out of the gate, is chipper, ready to go. I said to her on, what were we on? The Bronco. I said, pump the brakes. I need my coffee. Hey Zach, I'm interested in the new Defender 110 to replace my SQ5. How would you spec it for daily? Just to add a few options, pushing it over 100,000 easily. Tough decision on options. I'm a bit handcuffed here because I can't remember exactly what all the options were off the top of my head because we drove that several months ago. Yeah, I'm sorry. I just don't have the option list in my head here about what you would want and not want. Sorry. But yeah, it's easy to get the price of that thing up over $100,000. That's one of the problems with it. So what engine are you thinking of getting? That's what I want to know. There's certainly the high horsepower version is a whole lot of fun. And I think considering what it is, it's a really capable vehicle. But I don't have the options list in front of me. I'm going to go back to where I was. See, the problem when I get a Superjet, it goes all the way to the bottom, and I'm going to go back to where I was. Okay. Carter Rip is here. Welcome back. Thanks for explaining why automakers are pulling out from auto shows last week. I've joined a Porsche Rosso recently and drove the 911 and Taycan in Toronto. Great marketing for sure. So Carter asked last week, the problem with auto shows, you think they're going to come back? And then I explained that auto shows are very expensive for manufacturers to take part in, and they don't see a great return for their money. And a lot of brands are thinking it's better to take that money and do more personalized, customer-centric experiences. So that's exactly what the roadshow is. So the Porsche Roadshow, they have an event and they let people or prospective owners, typically as an invite from the dealer, go and try out vehicles. And if you've ever wanted to drive a certain brand, like BMW has their M series, they go right across the country. They let people drive M cars on the track. There's the AMG experiences where you can drive AMG cars that Mercedes-Benz puts on, and Porsche does their roadshow. Porsche also has their driving, what are they called again? Trying to remember, where they go across the country in all the different vehicles and you can sign up and do a road trip with them, usually a 1 or 2 day road trip. So these are the experiential things that get people into the product, and that's where companies want to spend their money. Just having people get in and out of their car at a stand in a big convention hall next to everybody else, I don't think they see a lot of value in that. Hey Zach, for a little fine car, what do you think of the Mini Cooper S 3-door manual compared to the GTI? It's a fantastic car, absolutely. And it's funny that you mentioned that, because I think when we drove it, we talked about the GTI and the fact that this is it's a similar. The Mini is going to be much more driver focused than the GTI. The GTI is softer. I always called it Audi Light. It has a more compliant suspension. It's a bigger car. It feels a bit softer. But if you want a real sort of like go-kart on wheels kind of feel, the Mini will be the way to go. And and people who have them absolutely love them. So take one out for a test drive and see for yourself. It is an absolute hoot. You're going to love it. What's the best convertible under $100,000? That's a very wide open, like, what do you want? Performance car, luxury car? Not sure what you're looking for. Just blew up my Cummins, swapped Chrysler Sebring convertible. Knocked up my girlfriend, so I need a party wagon now. Should I get a Nissan Micra or a Camaro 4-cylinder? Yeah, sure. Hey, Zach, any chance the 2022 Lexus IS is going to get a refreshed interior? No, the car just came out last year. This year, I should say. They just released it. I don't think they're going to do anything to it. Hey, Zach, spotted an '08 Lexus RX 350, 170,000 kilometers for 10 grand. I've read Lexus reliability is excellent, but I'm a bit scared of getting into such an old luxury car. Thoughts? Yeah. Well, when you get into any car with that kind of mileage and for that price, it doesn't matter who makes the car, if it's Lexus or anything. If it hasn't been maintained, you're paying for the previous owner's commitment to maintenance and service. So if all the maintenance and services have been done, it could be fine. It could be. But if the service and maintenance has been ignored and the car has been abused and nobody's really done anything to it but drive it, and then it's starting to give them trouble, so they trade it in and now they're trying to get it into your driveway, well, that can be problematic. So what I suggest, if you're really thinking that this might be okay, go look at the car. You're going to be able to see with your own eyes whether it's been abused or not, and the condition of the outside and the inside. And then you have to, especially a car of that age with that mileage, get it inspected by somebody that knows Lexus. And then you're going to be able to see. So it could be a good deal. It could also be take your money and run in the other direction. The only way to know will have it inspected. Do you think, another super chat, by the way, thanks for the super chat. Do you think Mercedes would bring a full-blown A45 hatch to Canada? We have the A35, but doesn't really compete with the popular Golf R. We do have an A45 in Canada. We do. We have the A45. I'm pretty sure. I think we drove it. Now, sometimes I get confused with the with the GLA 45. It might have been a GLA 45. I'm just going to go into our videos here and look it up. Let me just see here. Search. A45. No. Okay, so it might have been GLA 45. Sorry, I'm doing this all off the top of my head. I would love to see that. Are you sure they don't have that? Anyway. Now that's bugging me. Well, could somebody look it up? I'm sure you have. Another super chat. Thank you, Akshay. Appreciate the super chat. Cheers from Mexico. What can you tell us about the chip shortage? Excellent work. Well, the chip shortage is ongoing. Supply constraints, not only for chips, but throughout the entire auto industry, and not just the auto industry, but all industries. If you're the best piece of advice I got from somebody I was talking to, they said, if there's something specific that somebody wants for Christmas this year, you're probably better to buy it now, because there's going to be such limited supply of everything in the marketplace, not just automobiles and chips and tires and all that kind of stuff, but everything. So we have this international shipping shortage. This is what was told to me by a tire company. When the pandemic hit, a lot of those big container ships and the containers that sit on them were decommissioned, thinking that we were heading into a major worldwide slowdown. But nobody thought that everybody would be at home bored and ordering everything off Amazon. And then all of that shipping needed to come back. And it hasn't, because a lot of the containers and the ships have been decommissioned. Then we had the problem in the Suez Canal with the ship getting stuck for a week. That didn't help. So all of these issues continue. So the chip shortage is just one of many problems that we're seeing, not just in the auto industry, but across the world. So we're going to have to get through this backlog. But if you go by any major car dealership these days, have a look and see how many cars are there. There's very few, especially the domestic brands. They can't make trucks fast enough, and a lot of the trucks they are making don't have all the features that people want. So we're going to be into this for a while. Hey, this is another super chat. Beer money. I'm going to crack a Pilsner Urquell. Cheers. Thank you so much. Okay, I am doing this all off the top of my head. Thanks to Jerome for looking it up. You can't have the A-Class 45 in Canada, but the GLA you can. So that's the closest thing we get, is the GLA 45. Same platform, slightly different packaging, and that one we did have in the winter time. It's really fast, but boy is the suspension crashy. Bang, crash over bumps, and the transmission is really kind of jerky. The dual clutch is not that comfortable for everyday driving. Flat out performance, yes, but not comfortable for everyday situations. So there you go. It's the A45 is not available. It's the GLA. All right. Akshay again. Hey, Zach, in the market for a premium compact SUV. Love your reviews of the X3 and the Q5 going for release. Which spec do you feel is the best in both, and why? X3 and Q5. Well, the X3 is newer. It's been 2 years now. Maybe it's in its third year now, where the Q5 has only just this year received a mild facelift, okay? So there's reviews of both of them on the channel. I encourage you to go back and watch them both. In fact, in the last few weeks, Andrea and I did a comparison of the two vehicles. So the X3 and the Q5, well, in the last few months, not last few weeks, last few months. And I always say that I think the Q5 is sort of like the best all-rounder. It does everything well. It doesn't shoot the lights out in any particular category, where I think the X3 does excel in handling. So if you're motivated by that, if you're motivated by exceptional handling, the BMW is going to speak to you. But the Q5 does everything really, really quite well. In fact, they give it a mild facelift, as I mentioned, newer, larger grille openings, updated screen on the inside. One major gripe for me, though, is that the Q5, they got rid of the MMI controller. That's the wheel that you could interface with the screen. So now it's just touch screen, where BMW has both. Back to my point I made earlier. BMW does a particularly good job with having the screen, hard keys for radio favorites, and then you still have the iDrive controller. So it's all kind of stacking up a little bit more in the X3's favor, but drive them both because one has a different vibe altogether than the other. As I mentioned, the Q5 is kind of a good all-rounder. Everybody's going to be happy with it. The X3 is a little bit more dynamic to drive. So those are the kind of high and low points of each. Scott just sent a super chat. Thanks for that. You guys are being very generous tonight. Maybe it's all that Pilsner Urquell everyone's drinking. All right, now I got to go back and figure out where the hell was I? Where was I? See, if everybody did a super chat, then it would be easy for me. I'd just stay at the bottom of the page. Okay. Sorry, guys and ladies. You got a lot of people chiming in tonight. That's great. So we have 324 on board and 159 likes. So anybody can do a thumbs up. That would be great. And just as soon as I said that, somebody gave me a thumbs down. There's always one out there. Okay, here we go. What have you been looking forward for most in 2022 Lincoln Navigator reveal this Wednesday? Cheers. Yeah, I got an email. Actually, we were with Ford last week with the Bronco, and the PR person for Lincoln was saying that they have information. The Navigator, listen, they had to update it this year because the General Motors trucks are out. And the General Motors trucks absolutely dominate, absolutely slay everything else when it comes to large body on frame SUVs. So think of the Escalade, the Tahoe, the Suburban, and on it goes. There's just so many different variations. But yeah, I'm looking forward to driving it. I always like driving Lincolns, except for some of the suspension's too soft for my taste. So this is a follow-up to Diesel, your favorite heavy-duty pickup truck. Well, there's a lot to be said for the Cummins inline six-cylinder diesel. I mean, those things are amazing, especially with the engine braking you can do, and people that have them love that feature. Being able to tow, not use the brakes, just use the engine braking. Those engines are notorious for lasting a long, long time. So if it was full-size, body-on-frame pickup truck, diesel, it would probably be the Cummins. Why couldn't the Chrysler 200 compete with the Elantra or Corollas? Well, because it's Chrysler. Because nobody would give it a try. And nobody would give it a shot. And they weren't particularly great cars. They were okay, but they weren't great. And, you're up against decades of reliability from brands like Toyota with the Corolla and Honda with the Civic. Like, listen, if it's quite easy. If you ask 10 people on the street, you've got to buy a compact car. Are you going to buy a Toyota Corolla, a Honda Civic, or a Chrysler 200? 10 out of 10 are going to take the Japanese imports. New Genesis G70 V6 versus a Mercedes C43 and the Audi S5. No BMW because I'm not a huge fan of their look. The Genesis I liked. I didn't love it. I mean, it's a great handling car. They do a very good job with it. I just think that this refresh they did on it, they could have done more on the inside. I just think that is the one area where they kind of let it down. The outside design, I like it. It drives very well. It handles very well. And by the way, it does have the same all-wheel drive system that BMW uses. And it's tuned differently, of course. But I think they did a very good job. And you get a lot of value with that car. Also throw in there, just for fun, is the Stinger. Go and drive that and see what you think of it. Now, the S5 versus the Mercedes C43. Both of them are the turbo 6 cylinders. the C-Class is at the very end of its rope now. It's already been shown in Europe, and we're going to get it imminently. So I would probably go with S5 on this one. There you go. But try the Stinger, because you get a lot of car for the money. It's the same engine, same all-wheel drive, everything as the G70, but it's just in a cheaper package. Waiting for the Tucson PHEV. Do you have any idea when there's going to be showing up? I'd love to know too. It's going to be soon. They're already starting to see the Santa Fe PHEV showing up in the US, so anytime now. Try those colorblind glasses. I should. I've never done that. What's your opinion of the Q5 Gen reliability? Can owners stay with this car more than 5 years? Now you're talking about a used car now. As I said before, it all comes down to the previous owner's commitment to maintenance. And if it's being maintained properly, and these things go either way. You can get one and you have no problems with it, and then you can get another one where it's problematic. So I would say generally the Q5 is average in terms of reliability. It's not above average. It's certainly not at the bottom of the pack, but it's not going to be the number one reason you're going to buy that car. If the number one reason you're going to buy the car is reliability, you'll be very well served to get a Lexus or something like that. The Q5 is going to do just fine, but go in there, try and get one with as long an extended warranty as you can. Would you consider changing the road map of your car reviews? We can see much more of beautiful Vancouver. Well, the reason we shoot in the same place is because, I don't know if you've noticed, there are not many cars on the street. There's not many pedestrians. There's no pedestrians on the street. And it is absolutely a stunning neighborhood. So those houses we drive by when you're watching the car reviews, they're between $10 and $20 million each. So that's where we shoot. A couple of things. There's no big trees to speak of, which means that we get an unobstructed view. So it's just convenient for us. Plus, it is one of the most beautiful parts of the city. So yes, we could move and try and show different parts of the city. But the thing is, we can go there and shoot quickly and get on to what we have to do, which is to cover more cars. Sometimes when you're out there looking for the perfect shot somewhere, it just eats up all your time. There are a lot of beautiful neighborhoods in Vancouver, but there are very few that have the views, the lack of cars on the road, lack of pedestrians, and nobody around. It's very, very quiet where we shoot. So that all stacks up to easy for us to do, and it actually looks fantastic. Do you have any information about Mazda bringing back the CX-7? I don't have any information that I can share with you. Hey, Zach, during normal times, did you fly out in occasion to attend Monterey Car Week? The reimagined Lamborghini Countach is amazing. I've never been to the Monterey Car Week. I was down there for Rennsport, which was the Porsche get-together they have every 5 years, I believe it is. I was down, and that's in the Monterey area, and that was loads of fun in Carmel. We went out for dinner with the president of Porsche Cars Canada. I was down there with Porsche, and all of the cars were lined up in Carmel down the main road there. So yeah, it's a lot of fun. So never been there for that event, but I have been down there for similar events. Can you show your car model collection? I've got a few of them. I'd have to dig them all out. There's just a couple here. This one I've shown many times. This one I bought when I was 11 years old. A little foreshadowing. 911. Talking about sedans going away, Acura is interestingly bringing the Integra sedan. So yeah, we don't know exactly what it's going to be. They've just announced Integra is coming back. As I mentioned, I think the bet is it will be the ILX replacement. Great idea to bring the name back. They should have done it 20 years ago. By the way, to best way to do it yourself, detailing soap, wax, and wheel cleaner on Porsche paint. Thanks. I'll talk about the tires, because the paint, you can just get a good high quality soap and make sure you get a wool wash mitt and clean. Make sure there's nothing in the wash mitt, and so get a good high quality soap. And what you want when you're washing your car, any car, doesn't matter if it's a Porsche, it could be any car, is you want a lot of the soap, because the soap is the lubricant that takes the wash mitt over the paint, brings out the dirt, and that's why you want to rinse the wash mitt a lot and have lots of soap on the mitt. So make sure you hose off all the large particles of dirt off the paint. Use a high quality soap. Auto Glim is a good one that you can get that's available here in Canada at Canadian Tire. I like that one. But the number one thing I can suggest for anybody for cleaning your wheels, so the black stuff that's all over your wheels is brake dust. And there's a lot of iron particles in it because of the iron brakes, the rotors. And that's why you get it more on the front than the back, because your front brakes are doing more work than the rear brakes. Is this stuff by Auto Glim again? It's called Magma. And you spray it on the wheel. You don't leave it on for very long. And when you spray it on the wheel, it turns purple, this bright purple color. And then what it's doing is releasing the iron contaminants on the wheels, and then you just get a detailing brush and lightly brush through all of the spokes and everything, and you hose that off, and my God, do your wheels get clean. So number one thing is make sure you get a good wash mitt, a wool, not a synthetic wash mitt, a wool wash mitt, high quality soap. Rinse that wash mitt, rinse the car well first, and rinse the wash mitt well between each pass of a panel, and then get the Magma from Auto Glim and put it on your wheels to get all that black crud off. It's amazing stuff. All right, I want to make sure I didn't miss any super chats. Here's one from Mervin. Cheers, Zach. Ended up getting the BMW 330i over the Audi A4. It came down to availability. Thanks again. They're both great cars. This is the issue. People are out there shopping, and you're going to get what you're going to get. I mean, if you're holding out for a specific color and specific features and all of that, beggars cannot be choosers in this car market right now. It's crazy what's happening out there. Another super chat, replacing my Honda S2000, which I love, looking for a softer ride convertible, more like a Grand Tourer. What would you recommend? Under $100,000. Off the top of my head, an S2000. Now that's quite a machine. That's a wonderful car. Under $100,000. Have you thought about, because you're going to be used to the performance, what about just getting like a Boxster? Not a racy one, just a nice, a regular sort of base model Boxster. That would be comfortable, be a great touring car, under $100,000, but you're already used to good handling because you had an S2000. That would be, plus the great resale value. That's a fantastic car. There you go. That's what I would choose. Thoughts on EV battery fires? Next giant issue in EV regulation? I'm not sure if it's a giant issue for EV regulation, but it certainly is an issue. First responders have to be trained on it. So the fires, are you talking about in accidents or just catching on fire on their own? The whole catching on fire on their own thing is costing these car companies billions of dollars. So the figure I read, I think it was almost $800 billion that General Motors spent in the second quarter of 2021. So in 3 months, they spent almost $800 million fixing Chevy Bolt batteries because of this fire issue. So it's really the regulator, the electronic regulator they're changing in the cars, and some of them will have some battery cells change, but a massive expense. So is it coming down to regulation? Well, I think it's going to be self-regulating because these car companies are going to get sick and tired of spending so much money on warranty claims. I mean, they've got to make money. Very expensive to engineer, very expensive to recoup your costs, and you're not going to make any money if you keep on having to give people basically new components and battery packs. So yeah, it's a worry, and I don't think that's one of the reasons why people are going to rush to electric cars as much as everybody thinks. There's still some question marks out there. People are moving to electric cars. They're just not moving as fast as some people would like, and because people vote with their wallet. And right now we have choice, and if people have choice, often they're not choosing to buy an electric car. Some are, but most aren't. All right, we are done. Just want to make sure I didn't miss anybody else. All right, we are done for the day. Thanks to everybody that tuned in. I'll be back next Monday. Don't forget, the Bronco just went out this morning. The G-Wagon went out on Saturday. On Wednesday, we're going to do the Bronco versus the Wrangler comparison. And then on Saturday, it's the Acura RDX. Haven't driven that for a while, so it'll be fun to get behind the wheel of that one. All right, everybody. Talk to you then. Have a great night. Enjoy the rest of your week.